Good afternoon. Welcome to CS Week Marketplace, third Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern webinar series. CS Week Marketplace offers fresh perspectives and strategies presented monthly by knowledge specialists from the Conference 37 Platinum and Gold sponsors. I am John Sild, and I'm with CS Week, and I'll be your moderator today. CS Week and Conference 38 will be held from May 5th through the 9th at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, San Antonio, Texas. Early registration will open in mid-November. This program will be recorded and available for playback, as are our other archived presentations, found under the Educational Venue /Third Tuesday link on our website. Today's program, Doing More with Less, Leverage Analytics to Deliver Superior Customer Experience, presented by Cognizant. Attendees are encouraged to upload questions in the Q&A panel marked All. You need to mark the All panel as they arise. However, questions will be held until after the presentation for the Q&A segment. Please address your questions to the All and not just the speaker. We are pleased to have Dharmesh Mistry today with Cognizant, and Sanjay, Sanju, and Sayan with us, and I will now turn it over to Dharmesh. Dharmesh heads up the energy and utility practice for North America and is responsible for managing client relationships. He has over 20 years of experience in enterprise and internet consulting with Fortune 500 clients. Dharmesh has been instrumental in business development and managing growth of professional service organizations within Cognizant. With extensive experience in sales and delivery of large-scale outsourcing and offshoring engagements in high-tech and ISV industries. He has led the international expansion of these industry segments in Europe and Asia, with P&L responsibilities for key accounts. Dharmesh, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you all, and welcome to this session. I would like to introduce my colleagues as well on the call. I have with me from Cognizant, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Sanjay is a Senior Director Consulting with our Energy and Utilities practice. He's been in this industry for over 20 years, primarily consulting with our utility clients. He's responsible for developing industry solutions and services with a focus on customer management, smart grid, and analytics. In addition, I have with me Sanju Nair. He's a business consultant, again, in our utilities practice. His main focus is utilities customer service and analytics. What I'll do is give a brief overview of Cognizant and our utilities practice, and then hand it over to our speakers, Dr. Sanjay Gupta and Sanju, to walk you through what we've been doing around leveraging analytics to deliver superior customer service. Cognizant as a company is one of the leading systems integrator in this industry. We grew from an offshoot of Dun & Bradstreet, so we have a data heritage. Analytics and data have been a key part of our growth, over the last 12 years from our offshoot of being in Dun & Bradstreet. We're headquartered in Teaneck, New Jersey. We have 165,000 employees globally. Our model is both providing application development maintenance services, transformational projects where we drive large business transformations with our clients, and providing consulting services to the CIO. Moving on to the utilities practice, it's one of our leading practices within Cognizant. We focus on the complete utilities industry value chain from generation, trading, transmission, distribution, retail. Our key focus is to work with our large utilities base across North America and Europe. We work with 4 of the top 5 utilities in the US and the largest retailer in the UK. Our practice specialties again taking from our heritage around analytics, is smart metering, customer enablement, asset optimization, settlement. What we've done as a practice, beyond just working with the utility clients, has done a lot of investment in these areas in building up specific service lines around customer experience management. There's multiple transformational projects that we are doing right now with our clients on helping them expand and enhance their customers' experience with what we're seeing as a key trend in the utility industry in the last 2 years and going forward. In addition, as we all know, the impact of smart meters and the huge amount of data that utility industry is faced with, and being able to provide smart analytics, being able to provide predictive analytics. We've spent a lot of time and energy working with our clients, coming up with IP-based and specific service lines around smart meter data management, operations, and how we can help our clients work through providing smart insights that will enable them to be insightful to their clients. In addition, we have been working with a lot of our CIOs around the impacts of the new technologies on social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. These are new technologies which need to have an agenda on the CIO for the next 2 or 3 years, where we need to transform from traditional CIS systems to CIS systems that incorporate some of these trends that are impacting the customer. So we've done a lot of research and work on this. So in part of that, in this session, we wanted to share with you, some of those insights and our point of view specifically around analytics and the social and customer experience. So I'll hand this over now to Sanjay.
Thanks, Dharmesh. Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. I am Sanjay Gupta. We'll take next 35 to 40 minutes to present today's topic, how analytics can be leveraged for superior customer service. We have divided our presentation into 4 sections. First, we'll talk about challenges faced by customer service organizations to do more with reducing budgets. And in section 2, we'll focus on using analytics to improve overall customer experience and reduce cost to serve. We have observed that organizations find it difficult to implement analytics, and in section 3, my colleague Sanjay will talk about a practical approach for implementation of analytics, and then we'll share some examples where we have helped utilities to implement analytics. And finally, then we'll leave floor open for Q&A. Moving to slide number 6. If we look into what is happening in the customer service environment, and we analyze what's happening from a customer perspective, then you will realize that energy consumerism has hit the energy industry. Means the energy customers of today are more demanding. They want more choices and want to be in control. The customers are more digitally connected than ever before and want convenience of doing transactions on their own and in their own time. At the same time, they want products which are designed for their needs. They want services which are very personalized for their needs. And then they are expecting utilities to do more, provide more tips around the energy management. And the important aspect what has happened over a time period is that these customers have actually moved from being passive to more active, and then they're quite active in the energy markets because of the distributed generation, because of the demand response program, where they are actually becoming part of the energy value chain. And if you look industry on the other side, then you'll realize that utility industry is in a state of flux. It is facing stagnant demand and hence revenue pressure. energy cost is rising, and then so the cost to serve to the customer. And regulators are not obliging utilities by hiking rates, and that is leading to an imperative to reduce operational cost. So customer expectations are significantly higher, and that to a time when utilities have pressure to reduce overall cost to serve by 20 to 30%. Moving to the next slide, and that actually creates a conundrum for the head of customer service, and that is how to deliver superior customer service while lowering cost to serve. Moving to the next slide, and that can be achieved by focusing on both aspects, customer and cost. So from a customer perspective, can we understand customer preferences better, and hence design right products for right customer segments? And that means there will be higher customer satisfaction, and at the same time there will be reduction in the cost because the adoption rate will be significantly higher. Can we also look to empower and engage customers more? That will create stickiness, and that will also create potential for cross-sell, upsell, and hence additional revenue opportunities. And if we look from a cost perspective, can we really bring efficiencies in overall meter to cash processes? Can we bring the service levels, can we improve the service levels while maintaining the customer satisfaction? Can we provide right set of tools to, say, call center agents to better serve the customers? And to achieve all this, let's move to the next slide. We have to be data driven, and what that means is we need to leverage all the data which is available, and at the same time we have to use data differently than what has been done earlier. So what it means from utilities perspective, it means that utilities have to move beyond a traditional KPIs controls. And then, as all of you know, KPIs provide a rear view picture. That's basically what has happened in the past and not really what is going to happen in the future. So there is a need to really understand and then predict the business outcomes from future perspective. And that's where analytics plays an important role. And if you look into an example, say a call center, as all of you know, the typical KPIs for the call centers are so average call time, average call handling time, how many calls in the queue, or what is the average wait time, or what is the drop rate. So if you look into these typical KPIs, then generally the decision making will be based on the performance on these KPIs to actually either look into the addition of the workforce or maybe sometimes reduction, but that is purely based on data. It is quite possible that in a particular time period you may have more number of outages, or there might be a case where probably you have introduced the new tariff structure and then there were a lot of calls because of that. So those are very specific to a particular event. And then if you are going to do a workforce planning based on that, then probably you'll be overstaffing it. So hence there is a need to look for the indicators which provide the future behavior. So for example, can you look into call propensity? It means what is the propensity of your customers to call you based on past behavior, and then predict that propensity, and that will help you to understand what will be the call volume. At the same time, can you also look into the call pattern analytics, what kind of calls are there, whether it's a outage call or a bill inquiry call or it's a move-in, move-out call. And then based on that, you will get an idea about which kind of a call and on what kind of a volume. And based on that, you will be in a position to do a better forecast for your workforce. And that will help you in managing the customer expectation as well as also optimizing on the cost side. Another example, if you look from a revenue recovery perspective, generally, again here the KPIs has been the outstanding or the bad debt as a percentage of the revenue, and the approach has been primarily reactive. Once the customer has defaulted, then you are going to chase the customer and find out and then collect the money. But probably there is a time for us to look into the new approach, which is more sensitive and more proactive approach, and it focuses more on the customers during the credit period rather than when the customers have already defaulted. And models could be developed using analytics which are based on the customer payment behavior, which is based on the outstanding and the credit change kind of variables, to give you the understanding of whether this customer is likely to default or customer is okay. And that will help you again to reduce the cost on a collection side and better able to manage your customer expectations. Moving to the next slide. So having established, I'm on slide number 11, having established the need for analytics in the customer service, now the key point is how you are going to apply this analytics, and then that's where you have to really understand what are the key dimensions of customer service. And if you look into that, basically there are three core tenets of the customer service. One is know your customer, then engage your customer, and then serve your customer. And you need to use these three dimensions to apply analytics. So what do we mean by know your customer? By knowing your customer, we mean developing deeper customer insights using your internal customer related data, whether that data is coming from your billing and payment history, which is a CIS data typically, or coming from a call center, which is your call records, the engagement side, or coming from a field side, how many service orders, what kind of a service orders, or that could be also coming from some of your internal campaign systems, or maybe in today's context, if the smart metering is there, maybe from your MDM. So you have to look into the data which is internal, and you also have to look into some of the external data which you may be getting from third parties. For example, you can get data from Census, you can get data from Experian, or you can get a lot of Prism data from Nielsen. So you use all the data and then develop the insights which will help you to design and target your products better. And when you talk about the engaging the customer, it means can you create services which are more personalized, or can you create engagement models where the customer is having tools and information to take informed decision. And then serve your customer is all about efficiency in your meter to cash process, how you can be more efficient, how you can have a better service levels, and that will help again increasing satisfaction as well as reducing the cost. So let's look into each of these three components and then see what are the different examples of analytics that could be applied to these components. So moving to the next slide, it is very, very important for us to understand who is your customer and then what are their preferences and then their expectations. And if we know those variables, that will help us in developing successful and lasting relationship with the customer. And generally what we have seen is customer segmentation is one way of knowing about your customers. And there are various ways of doing that customer segmentation. You can use demographic, you can use psychographic, you can use behavioral variables to develop various customer segments. For example, if you are looking to segment your customers based on their expectations on energy efficiency or renewables or selling green energy, then one way to look into customers could be a green versus brown. And within the green category, you can have a multiple sub-segments. So for example, green could be a green idealist, or green could be a green practical, or maybe a green affluent. So if you see the green idealist could be a kind of customers who will go for green and they are not cost conscious for that. They are the idealist green who would like to have a renewable source of generation, who like to have a green energy being consumed, who will like to have more energy efficient programs. On the other hand, if you look into the green practical, they are the guys who will be looking into green, but at the same time they will also be looking a little bit from a cost perspective. So if you are selling certain energy efficiency programs or DSA programs, then definitely they would like to see what kind of a benefit they are going to get. It's not only about the investment, but what kind of return they are going to get. So that they are green in the realm of cost consciousness. If you're looking for an affluent green, they are more likely to be the early adopters. So if you want to do an hand, and then probably those set of customers could be choosing to have a hand pilot programs. And if you look from another perspective, so for example, if you want to do a customer segmentation based on the risk, which will help you in managing your debts, then probably you can look into the risk-based customer segmentation, which could be high risk, low risk, medium risk. And then you can have a set of programs or payment plans and programs designed to meet the specific needs of those set of customer segments. So for example, if customer is high risk segment, then you know that you need to recover money earlier, and then there is a one way which has been the deposit, which is quite common and a famous way of getting the money upfront, so to reduce the risk. But you can also look into a newer set of products. So for example, with the advent of smart metering, you can also look into a pre-payment billing option, so that customer pays you in advance, and then whenever the customer consumes the energy, you can do a remote disconnection using smart meter facilities. So there are a number of products which you can design for different risk kind of customers. If the customer is of a low risk, then you'll be more comfortable in giving payment extension and payment arrangements, and you'll be scheduling that customer for disconnect as a last priority. If the customer is medium, then probably you might be looking for some kind of a level payment plan. So you can have a product design as well as a product targeting based on the customer segments. There is another set of segmentation which is becoming more and more popular, is based on the lifestyle category and energy consumption. So for example, you can look into customers and you say, what kind of a lifestyle this customer has, and then what kind of a behavior or consumption pattern this customer might be having. And you can have a set of categories like frugal or passive payer, or energy conservation champ, and then maybe someone like energy crossroader. So basically, passive payer is the guy who will not have much of the interaction with you. That guy will keep on paying, but not really active participant. A frugal one could be one who will be interested in cost. He's cost conscious, but that person will be more interested in looking for options to reduce energy consumption, provided there is a cost benefit. Someone like energy champ will always be there, will be subscribing to the programs and energy efficiency measures to reduce the consumption. So basically, you need to understand your customer by doing the right kind of segmentation and then targeting the products. In fact, recently or a few years back, there was a study done by JD Power where they have divided the customers based on their energy consumption and a lifestyle into 6 categories, like indifferent, novice, control, opportunistic, automate, and innovator. So a lot of work is happening to do a customer segmentation and then targeting of the product. So once you do a segmentation and product design, then what's next? So the next is which channel you are going to target to the customer. What is the preferred channel for the customer from a campaign perspective? Are you going to look into direct mail? Are you going to look into bill insert? Are you going to do an outbound call? So how are you going to engage the customer so that there is a better acceptance of that particular product by the customer over a particular channel? And then once you establish these, there could be a area where you like to get a feedback on your product or on your working, which could be coming through a sentiment analysis, which is through social media. Are you analyzing the data, what customer is talking about the utilities on the social media about your product and services? Can you analyze the type of customer segments and the kind of feedback which you are getting and then bring that back into your product design method? So that is another tool for organizations to actually understand customer. And so once you have a segmentation, once you have a product, and once you have a channel preferences, then the next step is how to build those relationships on a sustainable basis. And for that, we really need to understand who are the customers who are joining you for a particular program, for a particular service, what is the channel through which they are joining you, and what is the profitability for those channels, so that once you have that understanding, then you will be knowing how to build sustainable relationship. And in this process, there will be a set of customers who might be also leaving out of those programs and services, and you need to also understand what are the reason for that, which are the kind of customers which are who are leaving the program, so that you can incorporate that back into your product as well as the customer segmentation to make sustainable relationship. And finally, there are certain cases, and typically in the deregulated markets, you can also look into analytics to actually create a win-back program. So if you understand what are the different type of customers, what are the variables are there, the customers who are leaving, and then for what particular reason they are leaving, and based on some of the customers who have joined you back, if you do that analysis, then you can definitely create a customized campaigns to win back your customers. Now, having covered know your customer, let's look into that, how we can engage customer better. Moving to the next slide. And from an engagement perspective, very clearly, we need to understand how we can provide more information and tools to the customer so that customer can use those tools and information to take informed decisions. And on the other side, we also need to understand how we can create a certain personalized services for a customer. So if you look from an empowerment side and then what tools we can provide to customer, analytics plays an important role. So for example, can we provide a high bill alert or high consumption periods based on the consumption data to the customer so that customer gets in advance alert and can do certain things to manage the consumption. What we are also seeing is, there are goal-based consumption alerts. So customer, you can give an option to the customer to define its goals, whether it's based on income, spend, or weather. And then once that those goals are achieved, the customer gets an alert. So that helps customer in, again, proactively managing the consumption. Another thing which is happening a lot, and that's happening more with the renewables, the DR programs, as well as the new set of tariffs coming into market, which is time of the use tariff, that it's more complexity is coming, and the customer is not able to decide really, what is the right tariff, what is the right time for him to consume. Is it a way to manage the consumption by shifting it to different time period? And if you can provide that what if scenario and what if tools to the customer, so that definitely the customer is in control in managing its energy bills. In a similar way, the gamification is another concept which is gaining prominence, where you can use the gamification to actually promote customer behavior for conservation. Research has clearly showed that sometimes, financial incentives are not as important, but maybe the peer pressure or peer behavior is there influencing the neighbor's behavior. So if instead of, providing information for the customer, this is a saving for you, probably the message could be more tailored around that 70% of customers in your neighborhood have adopted this particular program. And then the chances of that customer accepting that is quite high. And then there is a social app has been developed by OPower along with the Facebook and then NRDC, which actually provide utilities customers their consumption, and it also stacks up the consumption in the neighbors, the families, to actually give that view to the customer so that they can manage their consumption better. If you look from from a personalized service perspective, there is online channels are there, digital channels are there. Can you actually analyze how the customers navigate your online channels using the web analytics tool, and which are the functions the customer is using, so that you can actually provide that experience where the navigation, that the functions are designed for what the customer is looking forward to. And can you also create certain kind of content search or FAQs which are very, very specific for a particular customer. Another example which comes to the mind is in a call center. It's still most of the customers in utilities do call center. And can we create leveraging analytics, a smart user environment where the agent has access to various aspects of the interaction with the customer, and an agent interaction is able to create a wow for the customer. And if you look into one example, for example, Jane, she wanted to make a payment, and then she has been delayed in making a payment, and she calls the call center. An agent picks up the phone, and he has a dashboard which gives what has been this particular customer's behavior in terms of payment, in terms of bill, in terms of the previous transactions. And once he receives the call, then the lady says, I'm already delayed and I don't know how to make a quick payment. And then the agent says, we have a pay by phone facility, so you can make a payment on the phone. But the lady says, I don't remember my details. He said, don't worry, we have your details as part of our database, and then we can use and make a quick payment. And then we'll also waive off your interest charges. Once that is done, then the agent can actually look into the past payment behavior and says, we have observed that many times you actually just making a payment in time, and then we have another product called direct debit, which if you enroll for that, that will help you in making the payments in right time. The lady is very happy, said, why don't you enroll me for that? And then, this agent also sees that lady is enrolled for a solar program. It means she has a solar panel, and then there's a possibility for us to actually leverage that more. And agent sees, based on the weather, there are chances that it will be more sunny. And so agent tells Jane, and we know that you are enrolled for solar program, and during next 2 weeks it is likely to be more sunny, so you can use your solar more, and then you can actually reduce your consumption, and that will help you reduce your bill. And that's what is a personalized experience for a customer, and that's where the customer says, the power of information can be really leveraged by utility to exceed the expectation. So once you engage your customer, then the question comes, how you're going to serve your customer, and that's where there is a significant cost is there. So moving to the next slide, how you're going to actually bring efficiency in your meter to cash process. What are the different levers you can use to actually bring those efficiencies so that cost can be managed. And if you look a typical meter to cash process, probably you have a front office and then a back office. And if you focus on back office, which is primarily your bill and then revenue assurance and revenue recovery, there is a significant scope to deploy analytics there. And if you look into the revenue assurance and revenue recovery, you can actually do a pattern analysis using the meter status and meter read to identify the potential theft or a fraud detection. You can actually also look into the missing meter read and then see what is the pattern on that missing meter read. Is it because in a particular geography that is what is happening, where a particular kind of meter reader is going, or is it for a particular kind of a meter, there is a more missing reads are there? And that analysis will help you to take a proactive actions, because if you are not having a reading, then maybe there is an estimation, and then estimation may result in customer not paying in time, or maybe resulting in more billing calls. And you can also use analytics to actually improve your estimation methodologies based on customer classes based on previous consumption history to if better estimation is there, probably the chances that customer is going to accept that bill are higher. You can also look, which already we have covered, how you can actually manage your receivables better. But to just give you another example, not necessarily every time in a receivables case that there is a customer who would like to default. There are cases when some of the customers have either little bit inability to pay or they are not able to pay in time. In that scenarios, probably our approach has to be more sensitive because those are the customers who are likely to continue with you. And in that case, for example, if customer is unaware that he has to pay either because he has not received the bill or bill has gone to a wrong address, in that case, it's always useful to do that analysis and then have a proactive approach to call the customer. Or for example, in certain cases, if customer is not, you are seeing that customer is paying around a particular time period, and that time period comes after the bill payment due date, and then you can do that pattern analysis and then can see, is it possible that this customer is working in a particular kind of a profession and where the check time he gets is around this time. So can you actually go back and see, can you change his meter reading cycle? And hence, maybe once you send the bill to the customer, he's immediately able to pay. So that way you can actually reduce the whole working capital. Another way to look into is, can you use analytics to improve your process for billing? And we have observed that generally there are challenges with the first time bill production. Once the customer is, the new connection has been given and the customer has moved in, you're not able to raise the first bill. So can you do that analysis, root cause analysis, and then improve your process so that the first bill is raised quickly? There are challenges in terms of bill exceptions. And again, if you can analyze your various causes for the bill exceptions, that could be incorporated as part of the bill process improvement. When you look from a front office perspective, we have already talked about the workforce planning where you can apply analytics to actually improve the forecasting of the workforce planning. But there is another way to look into is from a call center performance perspective, the first call resolution is, can you apply analytics to get understanding of the first call resolution? And that's one of the way to reduce the cost, because on the one hand, it increases satisfaction because you are able to answer first time. But if you're not able to answer, then have you done enough analysis to say what was the reason? For example, many times in case of high bill, the customer calls you for the high bill and then you look into that and resolve the issue, but that bill could be because it was for the wrong meter or a wrong meter connection, and then again the customer calls you because the meter has not been replaced. So if you can do that analysis, definitely it will help you to improve the first call resolution as well as the cost of operations. Moving to the next slide, now I will hand over to my colleague Sanju for talking about how we can implement analytics and an approach for that. Sanju, over to you.
Thanks, Sanjay. Good afternoon, everyone. So on the previous slide, Sanjay explained to us the nuances of analytics and guidelines for making those changes, delivering biggest impact. Now, in the next two sections, we will take a look at how to go about implementing analytics and also some case studies that from projects we have done with our customers. Now, before we take a full-length dive into an implementation approach, let's first take a look at what are the key challenges that utilities typically face when they go about implementing analytics. In our experience, there are three primary challenges that we have often come across. The first one is relevant data being spread over multiple databases. Many of us are familiar with the situation that of CIS holding billing and metering information, marketing database holding information from related to campaigns or CRM data, call centers maintaining customer interaction data, and so on. There could also be other databases like distribution holding, so we call it service reliability information. The second challenge is related to siloed operations. Many functions within utilities grow organically over a period of time, which results in distributed ownership of functions and distributed management of data. A survey conducted by Oracle actually found out that for smart grid implementation, found out that 60% of the data is maintained by the metering department, while 43% is maintained by customer service department, 43% with IT department, and so on. Which really underlines the fact that there is this siloed operation still is very much prevalent. The third and the most important challenge that utilities face is related to varied skill sets which are needed for analytics implementation. While standard reports may suffice for business users, at higher tiers of the organization, more sophisticated skill sets like multi-dimensional modeling or more hypothesis-based analysis are needed. And these skill sets may not always be available in plenty. Thus, while data remains a challenge, the primary challenge in implementation is not related to data, but more related to process culture and management issues. Now, knowing these challenges is very important while we are developing an implementation approach, and the implementation approach has to develop on these challenges, or has to address these challenges. So for us, it's a three-step process. The first step is all about understanding data that is currently accessible and available. Very firm attention has to be paid to the fact that data may be existing in various sources, and there may be data which is not currently collected or maintained. An attempt should not be towards consolidating data and trying to capture data which is not available, but focus has to be on understanding what data exists and what can be done with it. Second step is now, after understanding the data that exists, the second step has to focus on building use cases, and this is the most important step. A use cases which clearly outline what are the inputs and what benefits they deliver is going to be extremely important for the success of an analytics implementation initiative. Without clearly articulated use cases, these roadmaps can become extremely unwieldy. Third step is all about developing a sustainable roadmap that delivers exactly the benefit that a utility is trying to achieve through analytics. After having built a comprehensive set of use cases, these use cases have to be graded based on their relative merits and demerits. They have to be organized, prioritized, and organized into a roadmap. While a roadmap is being developed, attention also has to be paid on the technological aspects of an implementation. Technology is the key enabler for implementing analytics, and organizations have to make sure that the different technologies, tools, skill sets that are needed for delivering the desired benefits are developed along with keep pace with the implementation, or keep pace with the use cases identified in the prioritization matrix. Now let's quickly jump over to the next slide, which talks about another important aspect of an implementation. Having understood the challenges, having developed the roadmap, it's also very important to focus on pacing the initiative as per an organizational context. We saw earlier that organizations differ when it comes to their preparedness for analytics implementation, their internal processes, cultures, and management support for it. So for us, in order to work with these kind of constraints, analytics implementations broadly have to follow a three-phased approach. The first phase is what we call as quick wins. As the name suggests, the focus here during this phase is to deliver those projects or initiatives which are relatively easy to implement and deliver immediate benefits. There are why this phase is important for few reasons. One, they deliver immediate benefits. So they actually serve as vehicles for demonstrating benefits to a larger group of people, get their buy-in. Second, this can be also a very crucial learning phase for the organization. So in order to build the skill set, in order to build the technologies required for long-term sustainability, it's very important that utilities spend a sufficient amount of time building these capabilities in this phase. The second phase is what we call as active step. The reason it is called as active step is this is that phase when utilities actually consider analytics as an active part of all their business changes. So this is a phase where more investments can be made into building skill sets, developing people skill sets, developing technological components needed for sustainable benefits. We've also found that analytic benefits become sustainable when they are integrated with business processes, so that they don't become just one-off benefits that utilities get once in a while. So this is also that phase where organizations go through changes to their internal mechanism processes to integrate analytics into business processes to make benefits they get out of analytics sustainable in the long run. The third step, or third phase, we call as a quantum leap. And as the name suggests, this is that phase where an organization is fully prepared. They are the technological wherewithal, the people skill set, and management buy-in to undertake those complex changes which can deliver dramatic benefits. And this is the kind of changes we are talking about here are those when an organization builds in predictive capabilities into their processes. They develop products and services based on these predictive capabilities. So that in a nutshell is a high level approach for implementing analytics. Now let's quickly move over to some case studies from our customers where our customers have benefited from analytics. This first case study is from one of our customers operating in a deregulated environment, deregulated market. So this customer had multiple brands selling different services, and this eventually resulted in a situation where there was no single source of data available with the customer because every brand and every service line maintained their own data. This obviously was becoming a big challenge for their business expansion and future growth. So they approached us and we helped the customer develop the unified view of their of the data. Now, creating a unified database does not solve all problems on their own. In order to support various aspects of their business, what we further did was we created different views based on that unified data. So we created an energy and customer data view for basic data and analysis. We created energy and services view for a single customer view. We created customer behavior data mart for developing deeper customer insights. And finally, we also created an integrated campaign management view for supporting their retail sales. And these help the customer in terms of, in multiple ways, in terms of developing a single source of truth, effective customer segmentation, then effectively managing campaigns, and also develop a comprehensive churn propensity model. So this one was about developing a single view of the customer. The next case study we have is for a customer in a large utility in a regulated environment. So this customer had just finished their smart meter implementation program and was about to launch a TOU-based dynamic pricing program. The customer feared, and there was this risk of confusing customers with multiple rate plans. So we built a collection of analytic-based tools to ease the process of signing up for POU rate plans. We built various tools like a customer eligibility check, what if rate analyzer that would tell the customer what rate would suit their needs best based on their consumption pattern. Then we built more what if analysis tools for working out different scenarios, and also built historical references and proactive analysis tools to help the customer make up their minds. But this only would ease the problem of signing up. The customer would also need to be provided with tools to be in charge of their consumption on a day-to-day basis. So we built another set of tools like estimate current month usage, estimate their consumption, estimate forecast their future bills, and also mechanism to set targets and the notification alerts whenever a preset threshold of consumption or bill was reached. These tools actually reduce the or even ease the situation of customer apprehension while signing up for different rate plans, provided customer with greater shocks over usage and reduced bill shocks, and essentially ended up as strong empowerment tools for the customers. This next case study we have is another one from one of our large regulated customers. This one was about building a concept, which actually Sanjay referred to earlier in the presentation, called as smart agent environment. So we know that call centers are still the most important customer interaction channels. Now, the amount of satisfaction a customer derives through an interaction with an agent depends on how effectively an agent understands the customer situation and how quickly he disseminates information needed. In a typical situation, an agent has to look at multiple charts, graphs, and process lots of data before he can get a clear understanding of a customer situation. Now, through this project, we actually provided a more effective mechanism to an agent to understand customer situation. So as you can see on the slide, this is the dashboard we created, which is based on smileys. And the smileys are generated by processing data streams from across channels. And then it presents a customer situation through a smiley. So as you can see, service quality and reliability, you see a green smiley which says the customer is happy, but while the complaints related smiley doesn't say so. So the agent immediately understands what the customer is happy with, what the customer is not happy with. So this implementation actually helps the customer service to be more proactive and knowledgeable about their customers, and effectively helps in reducing the amount of time spent on service inquiries. The last case study we have here is from one of our UK-based customers, where this customer had a fragmented credit and risk management system, and it was purely integrated across the organization. So there were several gaps, and this resulted in accumulating bad debt. The customer was actually looking for a completely revamped credit and risk management system. So we helped the customer re-engineer their entire business process in this space. We consolidated data from multiple sources like customer credit scores, customer payment history, billing systems to create a risk profile and create that into a debt treatment master data. So this database contained intelligence or triggers that could be used for further follow-up on credit and risk management issues. So based on the triggers developed in this database, further downstream processes like recovery actions, professional advice, legal action, and so on were automated. And this helped the customer have complete control over their credit and risk management system, and also help them do it in such a way that was least intrusive to their customers. So that's essentially what we have in this presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. What an incredible presentation, very informative. And we're looking at getting close to the top of the hour, so I'm going to have to pretty much grab just maybe one or two questions. And those that have asked questions, we can get back with you. We'll get answers to you and send back the questions to your email. Let me ask you the first question to the team is, how do you see analytic adoption evolve in customer service?
So, in my view, what we have seen is that there is a significant investment is going to be in analytics. There is estimates of more than $1 billion from a customer analytics perspective. And we also know that, some of the basic analytics, like, for example, KPIs, dashboards, and reports are already there. The focus is now going to be more on business transformation projects from an analytics perspective. That could be primarily in the areas of, say, cross-channel analytics, okay? Which channel, for which kind of customers, how we are going to do that, whether it's online, call center, mobile, social. That's one area. The second area is on the marketing front. How you are going to do a customer segmentation and really targeting your energy efficiency or your payment or other products and services, because what we have observed is that definitely there is a scope to reduce the cost and then really target the right customers for the right products. And then, of course, the credit size analytics and then the revenue protection has been there. So probably there will be more focus on the proactive parts. And then lastly, at least the utilities where the smart metering has been implemented, there is a significant focus on leveraging the smart meter data, both from a customer's as well as from an operation side. So these are the areas where we see there will be significant business transformation projects.
Okay, thank you. We are nearing the top of the hour, and I hate to close it out. We've got a number of questions that are sitting out there, but we will get back to those that have asked the questions, and we will send those questions. We want to be respectful of everyone's time and conclude promptly. If your questions were not answered, Lisa Collins from the CS Week office will forward these questions to our presenters, and we'll get back with you. This concludes our webinar for today. We thank you for joining us.
Thank you.